All right, folks, this is Joe and Briano. I just want to make sure we got a transmission here. We okay? Amazing, the views are going backwards as soon as I turn on. Boy, this is great. Okay, let's give it just a second here. I'll start with the introduction. This is Joe and Briano, P.O. Box 4121, Fullerton, California 92834. On the web at thefullertoninformer.com, wifidangers.com, vaxdangers.com, 5gdangers.com, celltowerdangers.com, 60gigahertzdangers.com, and of course, ladies and gentlemen, Joe Imbriano 777 at gmail.com. All right, how am I coming in? Okay. All right, looks like we got a stream, so let's get right down to business, folks. Today we're going to talk about what no one wants to talk about, part 2, okay? That's right. You know, everybody's splitting hairs over all kinds of ridiculous stuff, folks, but I'm going to give you the cold, hard facts and solutions, okay? As I always do. And I'm going to keep going. And I guess we could talk about the white vans today, and why you're seeing so many white vans all over the place. And by the way, if people are starting to talk about 60 gigahertz, then that's good. I don't have any friends except the truth. And if you want to join the truth, then you're my friend. If you don't want to deal with the truth, you're not a friend of mine. Okay? All right, so now we're in a situation where we are in a shutdown. And like I have stated, the reason for this shutdown primarily is to create a pandemic largely induced by electromagnetic weaponry, blame a virus, and as a pretext for forced vaccinations, and roll it out and rinse and repeat, folks, just like in the movies. But we've talked about the electromagnetic weaponry to an extent that involve communication systems. And I've pushed the envelope as far as I can and hit the entire world over the head with 60 gigahertz and oxygen molecule absorption frequency weaponry. Today we're going to talk about another oxygen molecule weaponry system, folks. And it's called a cold plasma reactive oxygen species generator that's going to be put into the air conditioning systems. Let me repeat. This is part 2 as I expose the electromagnetic weaponry that is going to be used to induce symptoms of respiratory and even in some cases paralytic illness that will be blamed on a virus as a pretext for forced vaccinations. This is their playbook. But you're not supposed to know about the electromagnetic weaponry. You're only supposed to know about the viruses. And that's why everyone's only talking about the viruses, and nobody wants to touch the third rail of this whole psychological warfare operation, which is the electromagnetic weaponry affecting oxygen. There are systems that are going into the HVAC systems of buildings and schools, and I want to focus on the schools and the hotels and the cruise ships and the airplanes and everything else. They're installing atmospheric reactive oxygen species developers, folks. There are these cold plasma reactive oxygen species generators that are being added to the air conditioning and heating systems of buildings right now. When you see white vans and you're being told, oh, it's just the air conditioning upgrade, they're not kidding. There are systems that are being rolled out to allegedly, ostensibly purify the air to kill alleged viruses and germs. And it involves a process cold plasma generating reactive oxygen species which are destructive to life. Okay? It's an electromagnetic poisoning of the air on another level. Listen to me, folks. When reactive oxygen species are inhaled, it causes lung injury. When millimeter wave 60 gigahertz beamforming systems are aimed at your mouth, it causes shortness of breath. When millimeter wave systems are deployed on the streets and in your homes, you'll get skin rashes, folks. What are they talking about now? How the symptoms are going to now, they're seeing skin rashes associated with this fake illness. Folks, the whole entire thing is an electromagnetic attack, all right? Now, I will tell you that one of the problems with these cold plasma reactive oxygen species generating systems is it also creates reactive species of nitrogen. Now, many years ago, if you remember, the sunset used to be brown. The air was brown, your eyes would water, your lungs would hurt. We had a problem with automobile exhaust, and the component was the oxides of nitrogen, folks. And, you know, that's what gave us the photochemical smog, if you will, right? And the solution to that was catalytic converter implementation. Run the exhaust gases over a metal catalyst, and in most cases it's a platinum metal catalyst, and it basically takes away the oxides of nitrogen that have a photochemical reactivity property that creates that brown smog. By and large, the brown smog is gone, except in these countries where they don't have catalytic converter emission control systems on internal combustion engines. We do in the United States. That's why our air is cleaner. They've reformulated the gasoline. I don't want to go off on that tangent, but I want to talk about how even a reactive species of nitrogen is dangerous. And by and large, the atmosphere and the gases that we breathe in, by and large, are nitrogen. They're inert. But when you're dealing with a cold plasma generating system that takes the ambient air and runs it through this electromagnetic altering process that changes the molecular structure of diatomic oxygen and diatomic nitrogen, and basically cuts the thing apart and turns it into a razor blade and lets it fly through the room and hook up with whatever it wants to. It damages your lungs. This is going into all the schools right now. This is going into the gyms. This is going into the hotels. This is going into every building that is enclosed. It's going into the nursing homes. It's already in the hospitals, along with the 60 gigahertz telemetry systems. And now the patients are being told to wear wearable, traceable devices on their heads. Doctors and nurses already are. I want you to understand what I'm talking about. We don't need an air purifier, folks. We need to open the windows and go outside and let the sun shine in, right? Ultraviolet light is the best air purifier in the world. That's the way God designed it. That's why you can't get sick by breathing the air out in the sun, because the ultraviolet component of the sunlight kills the germs. Ultraviolet light breaks down organic compounds. Just leave a plastic plate out in the sun for a while, watch it turn brittle, right? Leave a plastic polycarbonate water bottle out long enough, and it may not break down, but it'll start leaching. You don't want to be drinking out of those things. Leave PVC pipe exposed to sun and then rub your fingers on it, and you'll see that the polyvinyl chloride degrades in the presence of ultraviolet light, turns into this white dust, and it's got lead in it, by the way. My point is that the most natural disinfectant for oxygen is sunlight. And the most natural disinfectant for the air we breathe is the oxygen itself. And they're attacking the oxygen itself as they block the sunlight, right? You've got sunglasses, they make you stay inside, right? I want to reiterate once again that what we face is not some virulent agent, not some bioweapon, but a carefully designed, clandestinely crafted electromagnetic weaponry system that is being deployed by design to induce symptoms of respiratory ailments that will be blamed on a pathogen, which will be solved by the prescription of medications and a vaccine. That's right. That's right, folks. You're hearing it, folks. I'm trying to be calm and I'm trying to be collective because this is an important discussion. This is part 2 of the worldwide shutdown. It is a weapons calibration and installation. I've told you this from day one, that the shutdown, aside from economically dependent, ultimate goal of this tyrannical, illegal, criminal cabal's attempt to destroy the world and its inhabitants is going to involve electromagnetic weaponry being deployed and utilized in a clandestine fashion that we were never supposed to question and we were supposed to accept and be in love with. I mean, hey, who doesn't want faster downloads, right? Who doesn't want an air purifier that keeps us safe, right? Well, the very things they're selling us to allegedly protect us are the things that are going to be used to hurt us, as they wrap themselves in the American flag and in the white coats and pose as our saviors with a freaking syringe and a pill bottle in their hand. Ladies and gentlemen, that is okay. I hope I don't get cut off right about now, because I just said something very important. I'm going to repeat it. Am I still up? Hit the like button, folks, while we have a moment here, while we collect our thoughts. And by the way, every one of you needs to make sure you're subscribed and click on the bell so the parentheses are around the bell. Can I get all of you just to take a moment right now to hit the like button and make sure that on the bell for subscriptions, number 1, it's clicked, and number 2, it's got the parentheses around it, and make sure you get all notifications. And the best thing you can do is copy the URL to this video, because it probably won't be available for 2 days, because what YouTube is doing is they're hiding the video from my page, so the only people that see this are the ones that get notified or share the link. And that's by design to slow the spread of my information. They're doing it to a lot of channels, but this one in particular, if I upload something, it takes 2 days to show up. All the shill channels, the upload's up in hours, right? Sometimes immediately. Get the likes up, folks. Come on. And copy the URL to this stream and post it all over social media: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, email, whatever your forte is, folks. Listen, I'm just a one-man circus spreading truth. I don't buy fake views. I don't buy fake subscribers. I'm not a monetized channel. I'm not selling anything. You know, I'm not here for the wrong reasons. I'm here to try to save lives. That's always been my mission. I've always been about protecting children in the schools from the weaponized frequency systems that are aimed at their ovaries, that won't be discussed by any of the controlled opposition. And then you've got agents out there talking about how, because they can't find any studies on what the oxygen frequency does to oxygen, it has to be safe. They'll go and tell you that 5G isn't safe because they can't find any studies on it. Specifically, Derek Bros, he's a complete moron, okay? Might as well throw his name out there. Derek Bros says that in his 5G documentary called The Trojan Horse, which he is actually the Trojan Horse. Might as well get personal right now for a minute. The whole argument of Derek Bros against 5G weaponry is it hasn't been tested and there's no studies on it, right? And yet, when we talk about 60 gigahertz, he can't find any studies on it, so he discounts the fact that the 60 gigahertz is a weapon. Now, either he's smoked too much dope or he's worked with people, or a combination of both. But I digress. Drop the links to my videos on all these shills' comments and force them to address the issues. Force them to address the electromagnetic attack, this war on oxygen, being waged by millimeter wave, and the air purification systems that are being rolled out. The atmospheric cold plasma reactive oxygen species generators that are getting installed right now in all these buildings. The white vans aren't just for the Wi-Fi, folks. They're also to weaponize the air conditioners. Okay? Folks, please, do me a favor and do some homework on the effects of reactive oxygen species on your lungs. Do some homework on the reactive nitrogen species effects on your lungs. And do some homework on the symptoms we're being told that this fake virus is causing. Right now, they're deaths. They're just relabeling stuff, folks. That's all they're doing. They're relabeling deaths that are of normal, everyday occurrences, like pneumonia and heart attack and stroke and obesity and complications from AFib and sepsis and MRSA and staph and kidney failure and vaccine overdose and drug overdose and pill overdose and food comatose and everything else, folks. Everybody's like, super old and super sick, and the thing's supposedly killing them. They're cooking the books right now, folks. But when they get these air purifying systems in everywhere, they get this weaponized Wi-Fi in everywhere, they're not going to need to cook the books, folks. They're going to have to start burning the bodies because there's going to be so many of them. You need to understand that when you go into a closed place, a closed building, a classroom, a business, if the air doesn't smell right and it doesn't feel right, get out. And if they're offering for you to work from your home, continue to do so, because a lot of these office buildings are having this stuff put in right now. Why do you think everything is taking so long to open up, folks? Because they're working on the weaponry. All right? This is not about protecting public health. This is about attacking public health in the name of protecting it. Where's all the likes, by the way? And by the way, I need to start putting this out there. I have a bachelor's degree in chemistry. I have a bachelor's degree in biological science. I didn't just fall off the turnip truck. I'm not just making statements about things that I don't understand, like a lot of people do. All right? And what you've got going on right now is a concerted effort with controlled opposition agents in all shapes, forms, sizes, and flavors that won't hit the target, folks. Have any of you ever been to an archery range or a shooting range or anything like that? It's about hitting the target, right? And the bullseye is Joe Imbriano. Joe Imbriano hits the bullseye, folks. That's why there are all kinds of people popping up like mushrooms on an Arkansas chicken farm after a series of thunderstorms that have these blown up channels with all these blown up views, pushing a bunch of blown up crap to keep your eye off the bullseye. The bullseye is the war on oxygen that will lead to the fake illness that is actually going to be real, but it's going to be caused by a fake virus. It's actually going to be caused by an electromagnetic attack that they're going to blame on a fake virus to get you vaccinated so they can track and trace and kill you with their weaponry. Did I make the circus clowns assholes? Okay? Anybody that doesn't want to talk about 60 gigahertz, millimeter wave, Y-gig, Wi-Fi weaponry affecting oxygen molecules is part of the problem. Look, I've talked about how viruses don't exist the way we're told. I've talked about Section 13 of the vaccine inserts. I talk about all of the glyphosate they're spraying all over everything as a desiccant in the fields to screw up your connective tissue and make you sick. I've talked about how the microwaves cause autism. I've talked about the nano blenders, the metallic compounds, the electrical discharges stripping the myelin off the brains of the children in the crib, right? All of this, the smooth endoplasmic reticulum undergoing morphological changes as a result of being beam formed on the human eggs by the iPads, the infertility pads in the classroom. I talk about all the stuff that no one wants to talk about, folks, because and by the way, Deborah Davis, the Environmental Health Trust, the number one anti-wireless shill in the business, folks. Her video keeps popping up, millions of views, comments disabled, recommended for you. She's got that scarf on. She's an agent. Look her up. Look at where she came from. Look at her connections. And look at what she doesn't ever talk about, folks. She'll never talk about the infertility pads, Apple's corporate headquarters, the human eggs being damaged by the infertility pads. She'll never ever talk about 60 gigahertz. She's in the cabal, and they're pushing her as a alternative to the truth stream you're hearing right now, and they're ramming her down everybody's throat. And her phony organization is supposedly about children, when they're silent on the weaponry that is sterilizing the girls, and they're silent on the weaponry that's going into the classroom right now. They won't talk about it. And they're all connected to each other because they're all pushing the same mantra. It's very obvious what's going on, folks. I'm talking about the bullseye, folks. The bullseye is the war on oxygen. It's very simple. Because after all, isn't that what we're being shown in the media that's controlled by the same people that are controlling Deborah Davis and all these other people? Think about it. We're looking like they're making it look like we're losing the war on respiratory function, when in fact they're waging a war on the oxygen we breathe. Are you understanding me, folks? Get the likes up. Where is everybody? And by the way, like I said, copy the URL off of this notification. Take this notification that came to you in email or however you're getting it, and send it to everybody you know. Copy and paste the URL from this notification right now, and send it to everybody on your email list. Everybody right now, so they get a chance to watch this. If YouTube takes this down, or if they delay the processing of it for 2 days, you need to take that notification link and treat it like a gold coin right now. So back to the war on oxygen and the reason for the world shutdown part 2. These air purifiers that they're putting in, they allegedly work by creating reactive oxygen species that are supposed to be able to kill viruses, that are supposed to be able to kill germs, that are supposed to be able to disinfect surfaces, that are supposed to be able to disinfect food. I mean, this technology, I don't see a problem using this in a meat plant that doesn't have people in it breathing. You know, like if they're worried about salmonella, but you don't put this in a classroom. Children are not biodegradable organic protein compounds. And how can you kill something that's not even alive, for crying out loud? Folks, think about it. What needs to happen right now is everybody listening. NASA Tavares is another one. You know, I hate naming names because it's just it's a waste of my time. You know, doom and gloom and diversion are the names of the games of these agents and these assets, folks. You need to not put your okay. You cannot put your children back in these classrooms, okay? Listen, folks. You can't put your children back in the class. They've got the 60 gigahertz Y-gig chips in the routers, the access points, and you can't put them in those classrooms if they've got these atmospheric cold plasma reactive oxygen species generating systems connected to the HVAC units. You need to ask. Look, another thing, I might as well bring this up. You know, I had given you guys a homework assignment, 2 homework assignments. One of them was to go to Dr. Batar's transcripts of his videos and do a Control F search on his entire transcript and see if he mentions the words 60 gigahertz or oxygen molecules or any of that, right? Well, it turns out that he's turning his transcripts into Arabic and Korean, so you can't do it. So, real nice work there, Doc, huh? Trying to obfuscate. You have to physically turn your transcripts into a foreign language intentionally. YouTube doesn't do it. Every single one of my videos I've ever done has the transcripts in English and has never had the comments disabled. That's when you know somebody is screwing with you, when the transcripts are scrambled into Arabic or Korean or some other language, so you can't search them and you can't translate them, right? And then, of course, they disable the comments so you can't have an objective discussion. One of the things I really enjoy, folks, is the platform that I provide for an interaction of all of you to argue with me and point out things that I don't know about, correct me if I'm wrong, and inform and connect with others. All right? Think about it, folks. And now they're telling us that 60 gigahertz is a safe frequency. See, this is how it all works, all right? Can you guys hear me okay? I just want to make sure you guys can all hear me okay. Am I coming in okay? Right? All right. So yeah, Dr. Patar put his transcripts in Arabic. I didn't know that that's the language he wants everybody to learn. You know, I mean, and Dr. Shiva, I told you yesterday, the guy's pushing 5G. He was pushing 5G. See, here's the plan, folks. The plan was to have everybody believe in the virus. That's why they got this picture of this false god on every building, on every website, on every search you do. This false god called this fake virus thing. This, you know, this, it looks like one of those NASA computer-generated images of the Earth that's got like suction cups all over it. You know, it's laughable to think that something like that's controlling the Earth right now, right? And you know, one of the problems is people don't want to believe anything because they watch television. If your family members watch television, you know, move on. Don't waste your energy on them. Just tell them the truth and be nice. Don't get in fights. Don't divorce your husband over this. You know, if they don't want to believe it, let them go down with the ship. But you got to try, okay? But you got to be diplomatic about it. Don't yell at them like I do. That's my job, to yell at you so it sinks in. You don't want to yell at your mom. You know, most of your parents are going to stare at a TV set and take medication because that's what they were trained to do their whole life. They were trained to trust the doctors, trained to trust the police, trained to trust the teachers, trained to trust the television, trained to trust the president. Well, our children today don't trust any of that. And the problem with my generation is all they trust is their freaking wallet, right? All they care about is their money, all right? Because they're brainwashed, and, you know, we've been sold out by our parents. We've been sold out by all the people in education. We've been sold out by all the people in medicine. And we're being sold out by all of the people that we've trusted all these years that we thought were on our side. And now everybody's walking around with masks on, getting these oxygen-destroying Wi-Fi systems and oxygen-destroying air conditioning systems put into the public places, like the Section 8 housing. Any place that has a central air conditioning system is dangerous. Any place that has a centralized, weaponized, millimeter wave, 60 gigahertz, 802.11 AD access point or router installed on the ceilings that you can't turn on or off is dangerous. I hate to tell you this, folks, but if you're in government housing or if you're in a big building, you could be next. Right? So the second leg of the war on oxygen is the installation of the HVAC systems. Those are the central air, these high volume air conditioning systems, these centralized air conditioning units. They just have to put one of these cold plasma reactive oxygen species generators attached to the intake, and it disperses these reactive oxygen species throughout the area that you're going to be occupying, and you're going to breathe this stuff into your lungs at the same time they beamform the 60 gigahertz to your face. I'm not too worried about the economy, folks, because we knew this was coming, and I'll be honest with you, I can sleep on a concrete floor or a rock and eat plants. I don't care about that, but if they starve me to death of my oxygen, that's a problem. You know, all of us can stand to lose a few pounds, right? But we can't stand to lose our breath! Wake up! All right. 30 minutes is enough. And, you know, all the controlled opposition can be exposed by what they don't talk about, folks. And they're all given a very narrow focus, and they get to stay in their sandbox, and YouTube blows up their channel and their views, and then they get talked to, and then they get told what not to talk about, and they play ball. That's how it works. All right? I want you all to do a little assignment for me and go to all these shill channels and start blasting them with this information and make them talk about it. Because everybody I've named over the time period that I've been on the air has a choice, folks. They can get with the program or get exposed for being part of the problem. Okay? This is a war on oxygen. All right? This is a war about oxygen, folks. This is a war on oxygen at the radio frequency level and at the plasma level. All right? They're weaponizing the air conditioning systems with ambient air, cold plasma, reactive oxygen species generating air purifiers that are going to force you to breathe reactive oxygen species that are supposed to sterilize the building. Supposed to sterilize the classroom. Supposed to keep the air clean. Folks, if you want clean air, open the freaking windows. If you want clean air, open the door. If you want clean air, let the sunlight in. Why do you think they've put UV blocking film on all of the windows? Because they don't want you to have clean air. Why do you think they've got you sealed into a building and there's no windows that open? You've got to get your air through the centralized distribution system. Why do you think they've got you wearing a mask? Why do you think they tell you you can't go outside without a mask? It's a war on oxygen. Okay? So go out and start filming all of the air conditioning installers right now, folks. And start filming the equipment they're installing on the ground or in the roof. See if you see the cranes. And zoom in on these big boxes they're putting up there and see if you can zoom in on it. And see if it's one of these cold plasma generating reactive oxygen species systems. All right? It's a war on oxygen, folks. This is Joe Imbriano. Get the likes up. Get the likes up, folks. I need these videos to get out. Take this URL. No, 60 gigahertz does not turn oxygen into ozone. Ultraviolet light